I want to say something about the word that has probably cost you more guilt than any other word in the creator space. Consistency. You've been told from every corner of the internet, from every productivity guru, every brand coach, every algorithm explainer, that consistency is the answer. That if you're not growing, not converting, not building a brand that you want, the reason is simple. You are not consistent enough. Post every day, show up every week, never miss, never slow down, never take a break you haven't pre-scheduled and announced with an apology. Be present, be constant, be a machine. And you have tried, genuinely, you have tried. You have tried quite hard. You have pushed through burnouts to post. You have created content on days when you had nothing real to say. You have met your posting schedule on exact days when your life was falling apart quietly because you were afraid of what missing a day of posting content would cost you. And genuinely, at this point, I really want to ask you, honestly, how is that working? Because here's what I see when I look at the result that model produces for most creators. Exhaustion, resentment, creative depletion, and content that is technically consistent but soulfully and spiritually empty. And then the creator, burnt out, hollow, behind on everything except their posting schedule, disappears. A full stop, weeks of silence because the machine ran out of fuel and there was nothing underneath it to keep it going. This is not a consistency problem. This is the result of a dangerous lie about what consistency is and what it demands. So today, I'm going to dismantle that lie, and in its place, I'm going to give you something that actually works. First, let me describe something that I see constantly. A creator starts with genuine fire, real ideas, real conviction. The early content is alive. You can feel the person inside it. They are saying something because they have something to say. The audience feels it, and then the growth begins. And then someone tells them, or the algorithm suggests, or the culture implies that the key to sustaining that growth is more volume, more, faster, every day, don't stop. So they scale up. They go from posting when they have something worth saying to posting because it is Tuesday, and Tuesday is a posting day. They go from making content because an idea won't leave them alone to making content because the schedule demands it. And this is what happens, slowly but irreversibly. The idea starts thinning because ideas need space and silence to form, and there is no space and silence in a daily posting schedule. The voice starts flattening because voice needs rest and reflection to stay distinct, and there is no rest or reflection in a content machine. And the audience, they start sensing it, not consciously but in a way that engages. The saves and the share drops. This is exactly what I needed comments become rarer. People are still watching, but they are watching differently, passively, not hungrily like they used to. The creator notices it. It's funny enough, they notice it, and the response, because the consistency gospel has no other answer, is that they produce more content, more formats, more platforms, more optimization, more also around a dying fire. When the real solution, the only solution was to actually stop, to think, to let the ember breathe until they become a flame again. The consistency gospel has no mechanism for rest, no language for seasons, no room for the natural rhythm of a creative life, which is not a flat line of equal daily output, but a wave. High tide and low tide, expansion and integration, making and resting, speaking and listening. By forcing that wave into flatline, the consistency gospel does not produce better creators. It produces broken one. Now, I'm going to unpeel the lie about consistency. And it is buried so deeply inside advice that sounds reasonable that most people just never say it. The lie is this: that consistency is about frequency. That's it. That is the entire dangerous falsehood that is fueling burnout across the creator economy right now. Right? The conflation of two things that are not the same, showing up regularly and showing up often, dressed up in a single virtue, and so there's a non-negotiable cost of creative success. Now, they are not the same thing. Consistency is not how often you publish. Consistency is how reliably your audience can trust that when you do show up, you bring something real. Let me say that again because it changes everything. Consistency is not frequency. Consistency is a reliability of quality and presence. A writer that publishes a deeply considered essay every 2 weeks is more consistent in every way that matters than a creator that publishes 5 pieces of shallow, exhausted content every week. The first creator's audience know what to expect, something worth reading, arriving reliably on a schedule that has been honored without fail. The second creator's audience has learned something different, that quantity is high, but the signal to noise ratio is low. That most of what arrives is not worth the full attention, that the brand can be skimmed rather than studied. Now, which of those relationships do you want with your audience? The algorithm will sometimes reward frequency, to be honest. In the short term, more content often means more reach, but the algorithm does not build a brand. I need you to understand that. The algorithm does not create the kind of loyalty that survives a platform change or converts into real business. The algorithm optimizes for clicks, not for trust. And trust, the specific and real trust of an audience that knows you, that knows that you will not waste their time, is built through quality, delivered reliably, not volume. There's also something no one talks about when they preach consistency. The most important consistency is not the one your audience sees. It is the one you maintain with yourself, your thinking, your standards, your willingness to create from a place of genuine conviction rather than obligation. The creator who shows up every day despite having nothing to say is not being consistent with their audience. They are being inconsistent with their own voice, producing below their standard on repeat and training themselves to believe that this is acceptable. That is not discipline. That is self-betrayal dressed up as work ethics. Now, let me give you the real definition, the one that actually builds career. Consistency is the repeated demonstration of who you are. Now, do you get that? Not how often you post, but who you are, your perspective, your standards, your values, your voice demonstrated reliably across every touch point over a long enough period of time that your audience builds a relationship with something stable and real. That kind of consistency does not require daily content, daily posting. It requires integrity between what you believe and what you make, between what you promise and what you deliver, between the brand you say you're building and the choices you make every single time you create. The most consistent brands that I know do not post every day, but when they post, you know it is them before you see the name. You know the quality, you know the depth. You know that whatever they made it because they had something worth making. And that knowledge, right, that reliability is what makes people not just follow them, but wait for them. Being waited for is the highest form of audience relationship. You do not build a waited for brand through volume, posting every day. You build it through hand repeated, reliable proof that your work is worth the wait. Now, that is consistency. And it is within your reach, not despite the fact that you cannot post every day, but because you have decided to protect the quality of what you publish over the quantity. Now, here's how to do this concretely in the actual life, not the ideal life the productivity coaches assume that you have, right? So let's go. Number one, set a publishing commitment that you can keep for 2 years. Not the schedule that sounds impressive. I mean, the schedule that is actually very sustainable for you. Most creators set their publishing frequency based on what they think that they should be doing, based on what the algorithm appears to reward, based on what the creators they admire are doing, based on an idea of what serious actually looks like. That is wrong basis for the decision. The right basis is what you can maintain at the quality standard you care about without depleting yourself for 2 uninterrupted years. Maybe that is twice a week. Maybe it is once a week. Maybe, and I want you to sit with this one without guilt, maybe it is twice a month. But where you are right now, with the life that you have, with the creative capacity that you can honestly assess, whatever that number is, commit to it publicly and then honor it privately and protect it ferociously. A creator who publishes twice a month for 2 years has 24 to 48 deep, high-quality pieces of work, a body of work, a real creative library, something that compounds and recruits and converts long after it was published. A creator who posts daily for 4 months and then burns out has nothing. Not even the memories are good, I'm telling you. So choose the sustainable pace. Choose the long-term gain, the long game. That is what you should aim for. Number 2, separate creation from publishing. These are 2 distinct activities, and conflating them is one of the primary causes of creative burnout. Creation is the thinking, the developing, the actual making of something real. It requires your best heart, your deepest concentration, your full presence. Publishing, on the other hand, is the scheduling, the captioning, the distribution of your content, the optimization. It is largely logistical. Most creators do both simultaneously, and in doing so they corrupt both. Actually, the creation is rushed by the publishing pressure. The publishing is undermined by the half-finished thinking of the creation. Now you have to separate both of them. Have a creative window, a protected time in your week or your month that is only for making things. No posting, no scheduling, no looking at analytics. Just you sitting down to think and you making. And then have a publishing window, a separate time for getting the made things into the world. This single structural change transforms the experience of content creation from a daily emergency into a sustainable practice, because the deadline pressure is taken off the creative art, and a creative art given space begins to produce work that the publishing schedule can afford to be proud of. Number 3, build a content reserve, not a content queue. A content queue is a list of things that you have to make. Now, it creates pressure. It follows you everywhere. It whispers to you on weekend when you should be resting. A content reserve is a bank of finished, ready to publish pieces created during your high energy creative windows, and they are held in reserve for low energy periods when life intervenes, when creative wells run dry, when you need to be a human rather than to be a content machine. Build toward a 4 to 6 weeks content reserve. Now, this sounds quite ambitious, I understand, and it takes time to achieve. But once it exists, it changes your relationship with your brand entirely. You are no longer creating under duress. You are choosing from a position of abundance which piece of your best thinking goes out this week. And in the weeks when something hard happens, when you probably have a baby, like I did some past few months, when the project demands everything, when you simply just need to rest, the brand does not go dark. The reserve carries it forward. You keep your publishing commitment without paying for it with your sanity. 4, audit your content for soul, not just for schedule. Every quarter, do this practice. Go back through the last 12 pieces of content that you publish. For each one, ask a simple, honest question. Did I have something real to say when I made this, or was I feeling a slot? The ones where you had something real, study them. What triggered the idea? What condition allowed it to fully form? What about the creation process was different? The slot fillers that you have, learn from them too. What led to publishing content that didn't carry your real conviction? What pressure or habits or fear drove that choice? That audit that you did is not self-punishment. It is calibration. It is you as the brand director of your own creative work, evaluating the quality of what you are putting into the world and making course corrections before the audience make that for you, because the audience are always not nice. The brand that regularly asks, is this actually good? Build something that lasts. The brand that only asks, did I post today, is building a treadmill. 5, communicate your rhythm to your audience. This is the most underused trust building practice available to creators, and it's definitely costs nothing. Tell your audience what to expect from you. Not an apology, not a disclaimer, a declaration. Something like, I publish every Thursday, not because Thursday is magical, because I have decided that once a week, at the depth I care about, is the commitment I can keep and be proud of. I also did this. I publish on my YouTube channel just twice a week. It's something that I had to do. When you communicate your rhythm with confidence, without apologizing for it, without comparing it to someone else that has more aggressive schedule, something shifts in how your audience receives it. They respect it because it signals self-knowledge. It signals that you have made a considered decision about your creative life rather than just reacting to external pressure. And the next time you publish about a communicated rest, your audience understands, and then they come back more because they know that the silence was intentional, and intentional silence followed by genuine return is the signature of a creator who is building something real. Now, I want to leave you with a different image of consistency than the one that you came with. Not a treadmill, not a machine, content machine, not daily obligation to the algorithm that follows you out slowly and calls it discipline. Now, I want to leave you with this image. Imagine a tree. A tree does not produce fruit every day. It does not blossom every single season. It has winters, bare, quiet, apparently unproductive winters where nothing is visible, and an impatient observer might conclude at this time that it has failed, that it is done. that something more aggressive, more prolific should take its place. But understand the visible nothing. Roots are deepening, reserves are building. The slow, invisible, patient work of becoming more capable of producing something extraordinary next season is happening constantly, without fanfare, without a posting schedule. And when the spring comes, the fruit is bare. It's not rush thin outputs of something that never stopped long enough to develop. No, it is a concentrated result of everything the tree went through and survived and absorbed and learned. That is the consistency I am asking you to build, not the consistency of a content machine like has been advertised on the internet. The consistency of a tree. Deep roots, real seasons, fruit worth waiting for. Your audience will wait, that's the truth. The ones that is worth building for, we always wait. Now, go make something worth waiting for, and I am rooting for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you're able to get a thing or a two in the video. I truly hope that you're able to do that. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with friends and family, drop a comment. Actually, doing these things will help the video do well. It will help the algorithm pick it to the right people that needs it. Yeah, thank you. And as always, I will see you in my next one. Bye.